Hello, this is Alex at the Stadium in Bay City, Michigan. I'm here for another one of my updates about all sorts of new tabletop products and games and everything that we've gotten in the last, how long has it been since my last video? I think 2 weeks. So there's a lot of stuff. We got a lot of stuff in the last, 9 days in particular, just enormous amount of things. So we'll try to just get through it as quick as we can without leaving things behind. So up first, we've got this new Scott Pilgrim deck building game. Scott Pilgrim, if you're not familiar with it, is a graphic novel about a guy, Scott Pilgrim, who falls in love with a girl named Ramona Flowers. It turns out she has a history of relationships with people of exceptional abilities who have formed something called the League of Evil Exes. Scott must defeat each of her 7 evil exes in order to be Ramona's boyfriend. It's also a pretty great movie starring Michael Cera, but it's not the point of this video. The Scott Pilgrim's Precious Little Card Game, which is what it's called, is a deck building game where each of the characters have their own unique deck that you start with. And as you work to defeat the various evil X's, there are many ways you could fight them depending on how you're playing. It has a lot of the spirit of the in particular the graphic novel, more so than the movie involved. It's got a lot of the arcade kind of aesthetic, and it does look to be very faithful to the source material, which is, as always, a plus. And it's for 1 to 4 players, which is somewhat noteworthy. Up next is a new game based in Dungeons & Dragons stuff. It's got a lot of stuff going on. It's called Dungeons & Dragons Dragonfire. Now, Dragonfire is a new cooperative deck-building game set within the world of Dungeons & Dragons. Players choose from a number of races, from dwarf to elf, half-orc to human, while assuming the quintessential roles of cleric, rogue, fighter, and wizard. Equipped with weapons, spells, and magic items, players begin their adventure in the famed settings of Sword Coast, and then they can travel to other areas such as Forgotten Realms, Baldur's Gate, Neverwinter, Waterdeep, and all of that in the expansion content that is out now already and will continue to come out. So the first one the base game starts in Sword Coast. Along the way, players level up their characters, opening access to additional equipment, feats, and more. As you go about your quest and build up your own legend of your character, you can continue this from session to session if you want to expand it and keep going. So that's pretty awesome that you can track your character as you go. The expansion stuff that currently exists is a character pack with additional options and races and classes for your characters. 2 different adventure packs that add more adventures and quests and stories. And these 2 tiny little treasure hoard packs that they add all sorts of unique magical items and equipment for the game to continue to customize your characters and how you tackle each challenge. I'm pretty excited for that game. Can't wait to play it. Up next, we have the Civilization board game. This is an adaptation of the famous video game series. Just like in the video games, you build up your civilization through various ways while you explore a randomly generated world, research complex technology paths, and become, hopefully, the greatest civilization in the world as you go through history. The base game comes with 6 civilizations. Appears to be Egypt, America, Rome. Is that a Prussian helmet? I don't know if they would specifically have Prussia. I don't know who some of these people are. But it has 6 civilizations. And there are expansion packs. Currently, we have Wisdom and Warfare and Fame and Fortune, which also add additional technologies, world pieces, as the world is randomly generated, and civilizations to the game. We also got, let me scroll down on my stuff, my notes. 2 new Munchkin games in. Munchkin Shakespeare and Munchkin Oz. So obviously various Shakespeare things and Wizard of Oz. So if you're not familiar with Munchkin, it is a popular game with a ton of different versions that exist. The basic idea is you need to reach level 10 for your character, and the way you level up is typically through defeating monsters. Equipment, your level, and abilities from cards in your hand determine your power, but there's a lot of interaction from other players as well. So defeating monsters not only gives you levels, but treasure as well. And you can bargain with the other players for their help in defeating certain monsters, if you would like. However, your friends may often betray you and lead to your untimely demise. Many friendships have been shattered by Munchkin. We also got a small expansion for Munchkin Marvel. It's a Deadpool expansion. However, we already sold it today. We will order it again, but I unfortunately don't have it to show you. Up next on our list is Fluxx. So Fluxx, like Munchkin, is a game that has a lot of different versions for all sorts of different properties. The game features constantly changing rules, and really it is changing rules. You play new rule cards as you go to change the actual rules of the game. And it can quickly become filled with all sorts of absurd situations, and the games can vary a lot with each time you play it, which is something that I think is a good thing. This particular version that we just got in is based on the popular TV franchise Doctor Who. And it features characters and events from both the old show and the newer version of the show. So fans of all ages should enjoy this. And, some things, like, for example, the TARDIS has special abilities, Sonic Screwdriver does certain things, and it's, as a fan of the show, I think I think they did a very good job with this. I did actually open up our demo copy and look through all the cards. I think they did great. Next, we have Bastion, which is a cooperative adventure game where players work together to defend their castle from dangerous beasts, ferocious warriors, terrible monsters, giants, mages, and even mighty dragons, as you can see on the box. You travel around the board so as you travel around the board, you can draw mana from magic sources, build obelisks, and bombard your enemies. As you defend each wave of enemies, you can unlock abilities for your castle, build powerful artifacts, and perform magic rituals. Individual monsters also drop spells to give you more tools for future battles, so as you work together, you can prioritize certain minions and then meet up to fight the stronger monsters as a group after you've collected those spells. The game is particularly interesting to me in that it is for 1 to 4 players with various different scenario options and difficulty levels and a solo mode to really push yourself as you defend the castle. Libris, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, is a game where each player works to collect the most impressive library, trying to earn the title of Grand Librarian. So as you see, there's the library with all the different compartments and everything that go involved in it. The game has different abilities that you can invest workers into as you amass your collection. In addition to that, the official inspector for the village's council will inspect various criteria, including organization, shelf stability, and the most prominent works within your library. But you have to be careful because some books are actually contraband, so you need to make sure to deal with those so that they are not in your library while the inspector is there. It's another game for 1 to 4 players, which I appreciate the growing trend of solo options in games. And the game does look to be extremely fun. There's a little bit of drafting mechanics going on, some politics with the other players, and some trickery, involving some of your own planning, which, you know, as always, I like some trickery. Now this next game up here is extremely large. It is a very well-known game amongst people that like very complex and heavy games. Heavy both in use of the word for complexity and also, oh my god, this box is heavy. So Twilight Imperium just came out with its 4th edition of the game. It's an extremely well-reviewed game designed by Christian T. Peterson, and it has a lot going on. The game currently has a complexity rating of 4.22 out of 5 on Board Game Geek, so it's very complicated. But if you take the time to learn how to play it, it is extremely rewarding. There's a lot of mechanics in the game, but most of it comes down to area control as you fight for control over the galaxy, essentially. In the process, you run into black holes, asteroid fields, you can set up gravity rifts, supernovas, and you might even find some new planets. Sometimes your objectives may align with other players, and you can set political sanctions in order to push your agenda, while hindering that of others. There's a lot to do with the game, and the random generation of so many different elements ensure that no two games will be the same, which I would certainly hope so, considering how much stuff is in here. It does have over 350 figures, all meticulously designed, and it does take, according to the box, 4 to 8 hours to play this game. So if a game is that long, I would hope it is different each time you play it. Taking a much lighter turn from such a complicated and heavy game, we have Codenames. Now, Codenames is a popular party game in which 2 teams compete to find all of their secret agents while avoiding the enemy agents. The way they are found is through the spy masters that know the identities and locations of each agent and must give one-word clues to their teammates regarding the code names of each of the agents. Of course, everyone, though, needs to watch out for the assassin, who will kill indiscriminately. Recently, we've gotten 2 new versions of the game, Codenames Marvel and Codenames Disney. So, same gameplay, but different characters and themes. Now, moving on to this small little thing here, is the Best of Werewolves of Miller's Hollow. Werewolves of Miller's Hollow is a classic party game, and this is the penultimate experience for it, with all of the popular characters from each of the expansions included with the base game here. It's a classic take on the werewolf/mafia sort of genre, which is filled with bluffing, intrigue, and deduction as you work to fulfill your secret roles in a murder mystery party game. Now we have this new, brand new Mansions of Madness expansion. Mansions of Madness being an extremely popular game that we've struggled to get back in stock, which, hey, guess what? We did get it back in stock. We have Mansions of Madness. That's awesome. The Streets of Arkham expansion unlocks 3 new scenarios, new mythos events, and a new puzzle. It also adds a new card type, which is elixirs, that do all sorts of different things, and a new token, which is called improvements. All of this, of course, comes with new tiles, monsters, investigators, and other cards to expand your options for the investigations themselves. Legendary is a fairly popular deck building game based on the products and licenses of Marvel. We did get 2 more expansions to this. The first one being Spider-Man Homecoming, of course being based on the recent, well, still relatively recent movie that came out in the summer. And then, of course, Spider-Man's best friend, Deadpool. This isn't based on any particular movie or anything, just the character in general, all sorts of Deadpool stuff and characters related to Deadpool. So that's all of the new things we got in. I also just want to touch on a couple more points before I'm done talking. I realize this has been I would assume the lengthiest video of these I've made so far. But we did get the new edition of Evolution in. It's the brand new edition. There's nothing particularly new here, although I would assume that there are some slight rules and balance changes and slight changes in interactions and perhaps some quality of life improvements with the game. And also, if you're particularly critical eye, you'll notice that the box is a different size, and I actually like this size a lot more. It's smaller, but it gets the job done just as well, I think. So that's good. And then we have a couple of upcoming events for tabletop games. On Saturday, November 25th, we do have another Smash Up All-Stars tournament. That starts at 1. That starts at 1. And and that's a $5 entry fee. You get a pack of the exclusive All-Star faction, and we play a tournament from there. The prizes include, amongst other things, a giant table-sized playmat for Smash Up, so that's pretty exciting. And then on Tuesday the 28th, we have a demo event for Legend of the Five Rings. That is a free event. You can come in. I will gladly teach you how to play Legend of the Five Rings, which is a classic game, but has gotten a new release as a living card game with some mechanics changes and rules changes from the old version of the game. So that's what we've got scheduled coming up in the near future. We are going to schedule some more events for next month. We just haven't figured out what exactly some of those are yet, but follow us on our social media, and I'm sure you'll see it soon enough. Thank you. And I'm going to put the event pages for the upcoming events in the comments below this video. So thank you for watching and listening and hopefully learning some things, and I will see you guys next time.